Going over to the political part podcast, you have a border agent saying that the Biden-Harris, well, they actually instructed him to cover up the disaster at the border, which is the biggest disaster in U.S. history. Again, estimated between 11 and 20 million illegals across the United States in the past 40 months. The bigger than population of the majority of the states. And yet, this has become a political issue one would think, well, in theory, all Americans would say we need security at the border. We need to know who's coming here. We need to make sure that we vet them. We need to make sure they're not criminal background. Maybe make sure they're value add. Maybe they have some skill sets we need. I mean, just for security alone, you'd think every American would say, yeah, we need a strong border. And yet, for decades, it's become a political issue with people traditionally on the left saying we should have no border at all. And then people on the right saying we should have a border and security. And some libertarians saying there should be no borders anywhere, which I'd say many of my beliefs are libertarian oriented, although not in that regard. And yeah, it's become a very hot political issue. You see the same copy paste thing from Democrats and Republicans. Every couple of years, they'll let a bunch of illegals in. Democrats will say amnesty, and then we'll fix the border. And the rhinos, Republicans say, oh yeah, we'll do that. And yet they never actually make a secure border. Friendly reminder: we spent about $200 billion for Ukraine to try to defend their border, and we can't even spend $12 billion on ours. Which goes to show you where our government really cares about. Not our people, not our border. Now, Elon actually responded to this statement also on the good old X Twitter. That was originally posted by End Wokeness. It says, quote, holy shit, former Chief Border Patrol Agent Aaron Heinke was ordered by Biden-Harris to cover up the disaster on the border. Elon responded saying, wow, one of the most viral things, about a minute, 40 seconds. And like all gentlemen, this individual did suit up, as all men should. And let's see what he has to say here.
In San Diego, we had an exponential increase in significant interest aliens. These are aliens with significant ties to terrorism. Prior to this administration, the San Diego sector averaged 10 to 15 SIA arrests per year. Once word was out the border was far easier to cross, San Diego went to over 100 SIAs in 2022, well over that in 2023, and even more than that registered this year. These are only the ones we caught. At the time, I was told I could not release any information on this increase in SIAs or mention any of the arrests. The administration was trying to convince the public there was no threat at the border. Fentanyl is another issue. The San Diego area sees between 80 and 90% of the methamphetamine and fentanyl seizures annually for our entire country. With little enforcement at the border, these drugs were coming through en masse. During my last year in San Diego, the price for a single pill of fentanyl, for example, went from $10 to 25 cents. To make matters worse, during 2022 and 23, I had to shut down San Diego traffic checkpoints, which are critical for drug interdiction, because the resources had been diverted to the process and release mission. The large numbers also had and still have a negative impact on the San Diego community. I had to release illegal aliens by the hundreds each day into communities who could not support them. To quiet the problem, 2 flights a week were provided from San Diego to Texas. These flights simply brought aliens that would have been released in San Diego over to Texas. Each flight cost approximately $150,000.
What?
This was the administration's way to try and quiet the border-wide crisis.
Terrible, and importing them to our country. Jeez, 150,000. Jeez, Louise. No wonder our taxes go up all the time, and even the deficit also increases. We went pretty good. Wow, we got 13.3 million views, 139,000 likes. From the first one, it's coming from America Papa Bear, saying, quote, this is treason at its highest level. Where are the impeachments? Getting 385 likes, which, well, there will be impeachments, but those are only handed out to people who are on the right of the side of the political aisle. We also have Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, someone needs to be held accountable. Agreed, getting 739. Let's make it 740 likes. We also have Paul Zupa saying, quote, this is treason, getting 191 likes. We also have a contrarian, Franklin, the weird leftist who is a man. His whole profile is about voting for Harris, but he has an animated picture of a girl as his profile. But I follow him because, again, echo chambers get a little bit boring. Now, it looks like in true leftist fashion, this individual does not actually address the topic of discussion here, but rather just says, wow, and it says, one day ago, Elon shared the Electoral College map changing. Yep, so completely, did you get, they still got 26 likes, even though it had nothing to do with the original post. Ridiculous. Though it is a verified profile. Ridiculous, Franklin. Now, other major comments coming from, oh, this is a pretty long profile name. Pretty descriptive, you know what they're about. Ultra Super Duper Mega says scandal of the year and the media won't cover it. True, getting 13 likes. can't but wonder if the gal actually gets more online traction than the real Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is the Marjorie Taylor Greene press release parody account saying, quote, close and secure the border, our country depends on it, getting 532 likes. Someone by the name of, oh yeah, this Perkles are great, saying, quote, government in democracies is supposed to inform the citizens so they can evaluate policies and decide if the changes need to be made. This is no longer happening. Critical, polarized, politicized policy areas, border and crime related, our government is intentionally misleading us. There's a little picture that says the purpose of the United States Constitution is to limit the power of the federal government, not the American people. Unquote, getting 601 likes, which, yeah, I wish more politicians realized that when, yeah, they pretty much passed more and more laws and policies to restrict us and tax us to death. We also have America 357, an old school cartridge, not as classic as the good old, God's cartridge, the 45 ACP, but a good cartridge nevertheless. Says it's treason. It says treason. You don't steal an election, give money and weapons to Taliban, destroy our military, destroy our food supply, destroy our energy and gas, disassemble our border, and encourage invasion of our country, and not be treasonous act against your own country people. Pretty long, but that picture did get 238 likes. We also have Wall Street Apes says, quote, let me guess, absolutely nothing will be done about this. Absolutely no one will be held accountable. Just more lawlessness from the Kamala Harris administration and accomplices. We don't have a government. We are ruled by lawless mafia. Getting 1.1 thousand likes. Well, you can make the argument that the mafia actually protected stores if they paid on time. Of course, they're also morally bankrupt and evil. You could argue in terms of getting a service from your money given to them. As sad as it sounds these days, yeah, you can make the argument they actually give more. There's how much the government takes from us. I mean, I just can't fathom if most Americans were, if you just sat down and looked at the math, how much the government steals from us. Again, this is something that happens on the left and the right. And just think, you got 40% potentially being stolen via the federal income tax. If your state allows it, you have maybe like 10% in income tax. That's about half your paycheck gone just from working. And then maybe you have, what else do you have? Then you have the sales tax. Maybe another 8 to 10% on top of that. Then you have alcohol tax, tobacco tax, telecom tax, car registration tax, gasoline tax. Again, the one really gets me, I someday hope to aspire to own property. Unfortunately, not in that position yet. But again, property tax, paying for something you already own is just, to me, one of the most viscerally disgusting things. But yeah, there's so many of these taxes: inheritance tax, estate tax, capital gains tax. I mean, proposed by Kamala Harris, you have an unrealized capital gains tax should be viscerally disgusting and destroy the market and the economy as well. There's so many taxes. And don't even get me started on Social Security, you got unemployment tax. There's so many taxes. Of every dollar we earn, if we sat down and did a Venn diagram, which Kamala Harris loves those, she would never do this about the subject, of course, but of every dollar we earn, how much do we really get? How much of that dollar is really ours at the end of the day? It's viscerally disgusting. I mean, and this is something that's been increased by Republicans and Democrats in terms of ramping up taxes throughout the years. And again, it's also a state thing as well as a federal thing in terms of all those taxes. And yet nowadays, you actually get more benefits by just breaking in, which also shows who the government loves and who they hate. Now, going back to the major comments section, we also have, let's see here. Christina Kaliansky says they need to be arrested now, getting 15 likes. Chuck Costello says, quote, they are attempting to change the demographics of the United States. If she takes your seat, your vote will no longer matter. Your voice, sorry, will no longer matter. Getting 523 likes. Well, they also want to censor me. She also very adamant about censoring social media, so that would be another way she would take your voice. Throwing down more and more. Not really any contrarian statements here, as far as I can tell. Let's see. Indexia American Truther says, how is this not total treason? Why isn't the Biden-Harris administration not being held accountable or for crimes against humanity? How many more in the administration knew while releasing the purse strings to allow this criminal act? Getting 153 likes. Yeah, it's kind of the nice thing about the public sector. More often than not, no one's held accountable, and at most you get a slap on the wrist and get a paid leave of absence, which is ridiculous to say the least. So, unfortunately, even with this testimony, do I think anyone will actually be held accountable for this? No, I should say it's not 0%. I would say it's probably approximately 0.00000008275%, approximately, that someone will actually be held accountable or maybe fired or in any way fined or reprimanded for this. But maybe you're more optimistic. Let me know in the comments. Do you think anyone will be held accountable for me? Do you think more and more Americans are starting to wake up to the fact of just the inherent just the security flaws alone, as well as the economic issues that it comes with? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.